Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jadisola. Last year I lost my dad, and for the first time in my life I had to spend my emergency funds. So not only did I empty my emergency funds account, I also had to take a personal loan to sort out some other things for myself. That's when I knew that living is expensive, but funerals are also extremely expensive. Anyways, I digress. But one thing that I've been trying to do since that time is to try and rebuild my emergency funds, because that is one emergency that usually when they're talking about emergency funds, we don't talk about that. But this particular one was so expensive that I had to wipe out all my emergency funds. Now, one thing that I've been complimented on all through my life, I would say, like since secondary school, is how I'm able to save. I know how to save, and I'm hoping that this video can actually help you. So one of the first things that you need to do if you're struggling to save is you need to actually understand your finances. So what I mean by that is you need to understand your income versus your expenses, because that's when you know how to proceed, really. And the easiest way to look at that is to compare how much you're making versus how much you're spending in a month, for example, and based on that you can actually determine whether or not you have an income problem or a spending problem, because those are the two things that can actually really prevent you from being able to save either at all or as much as you would like to save. And the way to even look at whether or not you have an income problem is if you start to look at your expenses and you believe that what you're spending money on are all necessities and they're not like things that you just wanted to buy, and there's really no way that you can cut back on those things, then you most likely have an income problem. But on the flip side, if you're looking at your expenses and you're beginning to see that you're spending your money on a lot more wants than needs, then that might mean that you have a spending problem. And trust me, some people have a combination of the two, both income and spending problems. So you see that not only are they exhausting their monthly income on expenses, they're also going into debt, credit card debt on a monthly basis. So it's not even paycheck to paycheck at this point. It's more like they're not even seeing the check as it's coming in. So if you have an income problem, obviously, like, you have to find a way to fix the income problem. There's only so much you can do in trying to fix your spending if you have an income problem, and you have to find other ways of making money. So if you are in a 9-to-5, depending on the company you work for or how dedicated you are in the place, you may be able to ask for a salary increase. Otherwise, I would say, if you have enough experience or you've been on the job for a while, I would say change your jobs. Like, usually when you change your jobs, you'd likely, get a higher pay. The other thing you can also do is, depending on maybe your level of experience or skills that you have as well, you may want to upskill yourself so that you can go for a high paying job, and that may be a way for you to increase your income. Now, I understand that these two options are not very fast, right? The process of interviewing and getting another job is not the easiest of things, but it's worth exploring because you need to increase your income on a monthly basis. Otherwise, the other way is to try and maybe start a side hustle. And again, this sometimes are not like get rich quick schemes. There are some that you may be able to start much quicker than the other, but you have to figure out maybe something else to complement what you're currently making from your 9 to 5 income. Now, if you're self-employed and your income problem is as a result of the fact that there are ups and downs in businesses where this month you're making money and the next month it's literally crickets, you have to try and look for how you can have steady income. So you may temporarily have to go back to a 9 to 5, and this might be not what you would like to do, but if you're trying to make sure that you have some savings, whether it's emergency funds or you're trying to save towards something, you have to figure out some of these things. And the reason is, a lot of the times we want things to happen fast. But the truth is, we have to really think about the fact that good things take time, and it takes time to rebuild. It's not going to happen overnight. Yes, some people get lucky, and those are like the exceptions. However, people have to realize that, hey, you know what, if I dedicate 6 months or 1 year into something, then I might start to see, the result of that. And you going back to a 9 to 5 that you probably said you would never go back to initially doesn't mean that you're a failure. And yeah, temporarily, this might not be what you want, but you have to do what you need to do in order to solve this income problem that you have, pending the time when your business would have the stability to, continue to sustain you on a monthly basis. So that's for people that have income problem. Now, if you have a spending problem, which is where, you're spending more on wants rather than needs, and you are not able to save anything, or you're only able to save a little bit on a monthly basis, one of the things that I do is, I always save first. Some people will say pay yourself first. That's how people describe it. But I always save first, and then I would spend what I have left after. Yes, I do have my, fixed monthly expenses that I know there's nothing I can do about that, like my rent, my council tax, electricity and gas bills. Those are things that I know I can't do much about because I have to pay them on a monthly basis. But once I put that money aside, the next thing is I do have an amount that I want to save from my salary on a monthly basis. So that money goes out of my account immediately. And whatever is left is what I'm able to play around with on a monthly basis. So, I would say save first, or have a target that you want to save first, and then spend what you have after. So the other thing I try to do is I put my savings, I don't put it in a regular savings account. I try to put it in a high interest yielding account. So I do this because, I want to earn more on my money. I just don't want it to sit down in an account and not earn me anything. So because of that, I know that I'm being paid interest on the balance in the account at any point in time. So I understand that any time that I remove money from that account, then I know that I'm being paid less on the money that I have. So that sort of like discourages me. Another thing that you can also do is, split your savings in a way that you don't have access or easy access to some part of your savings. So it can be locked away in a fixed deposit that there's a, maybe a high penalty as well if you try to, take money out of it. So there's savings account where you could lock your money away for like 1 year or 2 years, and it will give you a higher interest rate on that money. So, and then there's some that even though they're paying you a higher interest rate than they would pay on a regular savings account, you have easy access to that money, right? So you can explore those options so that you don't have easy access to just be spending money impulsively. Another thing that helps me, and this one is major for me, is the fact that I always have a goal that I'm saving towards. And this keeps me motivated. Like when I have a goal, you can ask anyone that knows me really well. It's almost like I have a tunnel vision and nothing can actually, take me away from, saving for that thing. It keeps me extremely motivated. And I know that it probably takes a lot of discipline as well to be able to, do that, but it helps me a lot. So even with like my account, when I'm saving money in pots in my bank account, I like to name it. So, I have one right now that is house number 2. And because I have that vision that I want to buy a second property, I'm super motivated to, keep saving for that. So if it's a holiday you want to save for, if you want to save up for a car, or you're expecting a child, whatever thing you want to save for, once you have that goal, it may help you to be disciplined enough not to, spend your money anyhow. Like I said, I know it takes a lot of discipline to, be able to see your money growing and not touch it, but you have to find a way of making sure that you stay focused on, what you're trying to save for. Like I mentioned earlier, you could lock the money away if it's not something that you're going to need immediately. That way you earn more on your money and it's working for you passively. And secondly, it can help you to also curb your, impulse spending problem. The one other thing that I try to do, even though I know that I know how to save, is that I do regular, audit on my finances. So just because I've done it once and I understand how much I, need to spend in a month versus, my income, is that on a regular basis, I sit down and I look at my expenses again. Even though my income might not have changed, but I might still, look at some of my expenses again and see where I may be able to cut back on, especially if I have like a target that, I want to hit in terms of my savings goals, or, something that I want to get at a particular time, right? So those kind of things help. Lastly, I would say, have an accountability partner. One thing that I try to do is I share my goals with people that are close to me. And somehow that helps me to stay focused as well, because in a way I feel like, hey, I don't want to disappoint these people by telling them that, hey, you remember that thing that I said I wanted to do? I'm not able to do it. And yeah, it helps me to stay motivated. And sometimes, with friends, if you have like shared goals that you're both saving towards something, it can be like a mini competition where, it's a healthy competition if you really look at it, where both of you are, trying to achieve something, and it helps you to stay motivated. So these are some of the things that I do, personally, that helps me to save and build a discipline to save. I know that it's not easy, especially with like cost of living crisis, and this is like global. It's not just like here in the UK. When I speak to people in Nigeria, people are really talking about how expensive everything is, and your needs that used to cost you say £100 a month originally are now costing you £150 a month. And same goes like everywhere. Like everyone I talk to has something to complain about. But despite this, we have to try and make sure that we are, building our savings, whether it's for investment or that it's for emergency funds, because for the first time again, I had to sit back and really think about how, if I didn't have my emergency funds, if I didn't have that amount of money saved up, how would I have been able to, plan and contribute towards my dad's funeral? And these are some of the things that have helped me in my life in making sure that I'm always on top of my finances, I'm always able to save, and I'm always, striving to achieve my financial goals at any point in time. Anyways, that is all for today. I hope you have enjoyed this video. If you have, make sure you like, subscribe, and share, and I will see you next time. Bye.